Hello, welcome to Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and this is the stat show for the event results from... that's a terrible intro, but I'm going to keep going. We're going to be looking at the events that happened over the weekend, which included Age of Sigmar's largest ever event. I'm not reshooting, I'm just going straight in. Age of Sigmar's largest ever event to date, the Las Vegas Open 2024, which had 380 players playing to battle it out to become the champions, which is really fun. And we're going to be looking at those in a minute. We're also going to be looking at an event from Germany, we're going to be looking at an event from China, and we're going to be looking at an event from Scotland, which is cool. So we had about 419 players playing across 4 different countries over this weekend. That doesn't include a large UK event that happened this weekend as well, with 120-ish players. So lots of people were playing Warhammer all across the world this weekend, which is really, really fun. Before we get into this, though, I do have something, and all the lists are really fun. You're going to have a great time, okay? It's going to be very cool. But there's something I'd like to talk about. I don't really know how to talk about it. I talked about it with the chat already, and so I'm going to put this in this part of the video, and then hopefully this will make everyone who's like an event person, and normally it's stats people who listen to the event shows, you're going to be able to take this on board. So I would just like to point out that Games Workshop haven't released the Battle Scroll, which is the kind of balance patch that they released for Age of Sigmar. Now, whether or not it has been released or hasn't been released, I think is a hot topic as to why, when it should happen, all those other things. The only thing I'd like to express is, as a tournament organizer myself, but for the tournaments that are currently happening, like the Las Vegas Open and CanCon, those happen at the same time every single year. I would have loved Games Workshop to have announced the time of the Battle Scroll update. So, as an example, most people, because they've already missed their deadline for December, most people thought it would be in December. Therefore, they would need to look at whether or not they were going to change their lists or write their lists for the huge Las Vegas Open and CanCon. But they didn't announce that. They didn't say when it was going to be or the date it was going to be. And so people were building lists and painting armies, not sure if their list was going to get nerfed, if the units they'd chosen would become invalidated, if the strategies they'd planned because of the battle tactics they were trying to do were all organized, were just gone. And similarly, people are still in that same position now. We think it's going to come this week or the week after, and I don't think that will actually be that massive. The only big change I can really see is them changing battle tactics so that the ones from your book cost 1 point. That'll be the big meta shift change if they do end up doing that. But it's the fact that it's not announced. Warhammer events, as in events that we attend, are announced months in advance, sometimes like months and months and months. People book hotels, people book travel. Like, there's a lot of money that people in the community put towards going to an event and playing an event, not including the money they spend at Games Workshop. So I find it highly disrespectful. I'm sorry to start this video off in like a negative, but I find it highly disrespectful to the literal players that they do not announce a date. I find it disrespectful as a TO, I find it disrespectful as a player, and I know that there are tournament organisers and players around the world who feel very, very frustrated with this process. And even when they do release the Battle Scroll, I'd like it to be clear that in the future going forward, I would love Games Workshop to see that they announce when updates will be, because they are intentionally, especially when they have stock issues. Games Workshop also have huge problematic stock issues. Many items are sold out online. Many other things are sold out online, so people can't buy. So if they needed to pivot their list because things got cheaper or things got too expensive and they have to change something, they also can't guarantee the stock issue. So it's just something I'd like to say at the top of the show. I didn't know where to put it. I didn't know if it should be a Twitter thread, its own independent video, but it is inherently linked to events. So I thought I would start at the top of the show and just kind of express my feelings, because I know it's the feelings of many other people out there in the world, and they need to start putting out dates for when they're going to release stuff and sticking to those dates. And the fact that they don't is embarrassing, and it needs to be something they address, because it's incredibly disrespectful for the community, and you all deserve the best. Anyway, let's go look at all of the stats. The first event that we're going to look at is the world's largest Age of Sigmar event to date. In the history of all of Age of Sigmar, there have never been so many competitive Age of Sigmar players at one location, and that is the LVO 2024. I think they topped out at 370 players, which is amazing. They all played for 5 or 6 rounds, and they made it into a top 8 cut. And then those top 8 played a round robin, thankfully not a double elimination, whatever that is, just a normal elimination bracket, and we ended up with a singular true winner, which came down to, in the final, a Cities of Sigmar versus Cities of Sigmar mirror match, although the lists were completely different, played between Jeremy Lefevre, nailed it, and Gavin Greiger. Now, obviously, Jeremy's been doing really well for the past year or so. For a long time, but we all know Gavin. So a thrilling final where both players were only able to score 18 points, and then it came down to the grand strategy in the end, where Jeremy had a grand strategy, banners held high, where he had more flags, so more banners, than his opponent, and was able to become the winner of the largest Age of Sigmar event in the history of time. Okay? In the history of time. Right now, he sits atop a mountain of double turns and gold. So shout out to Jeremy. You should be proud. Your family should be proud. Your partner should be proud. Your kids, if you have them, or partner, or whatever. Workers, co-workers, statespeople. Your local town should give you a key to the city. You are, and I'm not being sarcastic here. Sometimes I come across as that. That's not the case. You should be so proud of yourself. You have done something sensational. And not only that, you were able to be one of the nicest, best players in Age of Sigmar in the world, Gavin. So you've got to be stunned. And congratulations to you. Anyway, that's enough gilding of the lily. What was Jeremy Lefevre playing? He's from the Battleshock Immune Club. Shout out to those guys. And what was he playing? Okay, well, this one gets a little bit spicy. He's playing Misthaven, Cities of Sigmar. And he has got the Grand Strat banners held high, as we talked about. Now, he's got the classic Alchemite Warforger, which is going to be able to give out a +1 save to humans within range. And then he's got Pontifex Zenestra. And Zenestra's also really good. Obviously, 5-up ward save in AoE is also real positive as well. But if moves out of the territory, you're going to start being able to do wounds to characters at the back of the board. Okay? But then what else is in his list? Okay, well then there's some other normal stuff as well. We've got a Free Guild Cavalier Marshal. And then to back that up, there's 2 units of 5 Free Guild Cavaliers. These are, if there's anything in this list which you could describe as the punch units, one of the 2 punching units. Don't forget they combo really nicely because when you use Finest Hour, then you get +3 inches of charge units around you. Also, if that strikes first, then they can strike simultaneously, which is nice. Also, don't forget the orders that you get in Cities of Sigmar, because these guys can do counter charge, and if you also do give another order for +1 attack, you get +1 attack and counter charge, and when they counter charge, they get an additional +1 rend, and when they charge, they get +1 rend and +1 damage, so they go to rend 3, damage 2 on the counter charge with potentially 4 attacks each, which is obviously amazing. So you probably want to be countercharging these where you can, and good armor pen, good rend to be able to actually get through some high saves, which is good. And then a Free Guild Marshal on Griffin, which is also very popular at the minute. It's an amazing solo melee piece, given the Grizzled Veteran Command trait and the Sigmarite Warhammer. It's just a good, solid, fast, melee monster. Again, also monsters going to be really important for being able to do raw to shut down the ability for opponents to do +1 save, and therefore that Rend 3 counter charge Free Guild Cavalier charge is then going to be really, really good. Okay, so we love that. We love that. Excellent. Okay. So that's kind of where it gets normal. And then we have a unit of Free Guild Steel Helms. And as I've talked about, because the Marshal on Griffin was the general, you can have the Cavaliers as battle line. But where it gets a little bit off-road, off-piste, as they say, is they also had a Haskell Hexbane and the Hexbane's Hunters, which is an Underworld's warband, which are kind of okay. They're pretty interesting. And then he also had the Vandenst, Galen Vandenst, which gives him another character for being able to dish out orders, and also Doralia Vandenst. So double Witch Hunter build. The double Witch Hunter build. Okay? That's right. They have great rules. If you go back and watch my Cities of Sigmar review, where I talk about both of those 2 units, I talk about that there's some great opportunity cost for both of the 2 units, Yeah, if you go back and watch it, like just go watch that video, you'll see, and I think it's timestamped so you can go find it. You'll see me talking about both of those two and the fact that they're actually pretty good. Like, they're legit choices for their costs, and I think that's pretty interesting. And then we got the free guild command core, but there's not one, there's 2 free guild command core. And I think this thing to say about the free guild command core is you see it and you see it as a support piece, but it isn't just a support piece. I would say the free guild command core's got the opportunity to do as much damage as maybe the free guild cavaliers. It's not actually, but it's a lot. There's an opportunity to do some significant damage, especially with a countercharge order, especially with +1 attacks profile order, which is very, very good. Let's not also forget that because it wasn't FAQ'd in the most obvious FAQ that was ever needed in the last Battle Scroll update, this means that you could do D3 healing. You could heal D3 models to D3 units. 3 human units can heal D3, which means you could potentially return back 6 Cavaliers to a unit. You can't because there's only cap of 5. They definitely do quite a lot of damage for 170 points. They do. They definitely do. They do a lot of damage for 170 points. And you being able to stack those heals is amazing, because if you, for instance, take down the Cavaliers just one guy, it's very simple. In a hero phase, you probably are going to get all 4 Cavaliers back, which, considering they start on a 3-up base save, 2 wounds apiece, pretty effective. Okay? That doesn't include the fact that, as I've said, they're great in combat. Also, they steal the enemy's command abilities as well, which is also very, very nice. So they're great. They're a melee damage. Like, they're just really, really good. 170 points. LVO rules you could not stack, I'm pretty sure. Okay, interesting. If LVO did rule that you couldn't stack, then that just means that both those 2 units can do them to different. So, for instance, you couldn't bring all the Cavaliers back, but you could do it to 2 different units, which is good because they can also do it to themselves. Like, it's just a lot of healing is what I'm trying to point out. So some big recursion in there. But anyway, very, very effective. So well done to... sorry, to finish this off, he's also got the Wildercorpse Hunters, which are a front screening unit, which I think is very interesting. So, Jeremy, amazing. Not only did you win the event with... just that, you won the event. Congratulations. You won it with a list no one was talking about. There weren't 30 Fusiliers. There weren't 60 Fusiliers. Okay? There was just stuff that people... I mean, obviously the Warforger people were talking about, but everything else, absolutely amazing. Now, to follow on to the fact that this Cities of Sigmar is obviously going to get absolutely hammered in an update coming soon. In the final, we also had Cities of Sigmar being played against Gavin. Gavin, though, was running Hallowheart, makes his spellcasting more consistent, and he was running a Battle Mage on Celestial Hurricane, which can do quite a lot of mortal wounds. LVO had an FAQ just for cities. Oh, okay, pretty interesting. I'm going to talk a lot about that at the end. No, I'll talk about the beginning, actually. Anyway, then there's a Battle Mage, an Alchemite Warforger, a Steam Tank Commander, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 Steam Tanks, and then the free guild command core. I know what you're asking yourself, Rob. Rob, are you telling me that Gavin Krieger took 5 Steam Tanks to the Las Vegas Open and was within a grand strategy of winning the event? I say yes, and this is all also impressive, but it was the Witch Hunters that won on a grand strategy. Thrilling final. Okay? So they had the pre-release. Yes, they did. So anyway, so the free guild command core can obviously heal the Steam Tanks. Steel Tanks have got a good save. They're good at shooting. They're okay at fighting. And then the Steam Tank Commander's also good at shooting and fighting. Not great, but whatever. And then you've got the +1 save from the Warforger in here as well. So everyone's just got +1 save. Nothing you can do about it. You can do all-out defense. You could do Finest Hour on the Steam Tank Commander. You could do Mystic Shields. And then you can heal into those Steam Tanks as well. Okay? Oops, almost all Team Tanks. Amazing. What an amazing final. Just great. Just so good. 11 out of 10. Congratulations to both these 2 players on a great, great game. I'd like to point out that, not only... Gavin is consistently one of the best players in the whole world. I'll fight anyone in the street with that, about that fact. Getting into the final with what is a quirky fun list and then playing up against Jeremy... It's just a really good, and also just a lovely person. I don't know Jeremy super well, but I'm sure Jeremy's wonderful as well. And it's just lovely that was the final for the largest event we've ever had. I'm proud of the Age of Sigmar community for that, and that's great. Looking at the other legends that qualified into the top 8, we got Fabian Barboos of King Cheese Wargaming with his Blades of Khorne, Jeremy Visser of his Kharadron Overlords, Tom Guan, famous Tom Guan, with his Soul Black Gravelords, Marink Jar with his Stormcast Eternals, Bill Hennessy with his Ogre Moor Tribes, and Jacob, the Let's Get Weird Brandon, with his Cruelboys. That's right. Everyone is into it. Okay, so let's talk about these, shall we? Fabian's running Khorne. Not anything you haven't seen before. Bloodthirster and Feta Fury with Firebrand as a command trait, as Priest. Arga, turn off ward saves. Obviously, he's going to do 3d6 charges on units. He's got Bloodmaster, Scar Bloodwrath, and Scarbrand. So it's just literally those two buddying up. Like, I feel like there should be some kind of nerf for this at some point. I'm not really sure where, who, why, but it's doing too well, too consistently, and too absolutely one note here. Bloodmaster of Herald of Khorne, and then Thedra Skullscryer. Then a unit of 20 Bloodletters, a unit of 10 Blood Reavers, and then 8 Claws of Karnak. This is actually really fun if you think about, well, when we look at the rest of the top 8, this is quite kind of an interesting list because we are very, combat heavy as a meta and have been for a long time. And I think generally it's fair to say a lot of Age of Sigmar players and communities around the world aren't really very pro a shooting meta. Obviously, terrain is a massive factor at many events, especially when you get to large-scale events like the LVO or, generally events around the world. It's expensive to produce terrain. It's tough on local metas and communities, like, thinking about Portugal setting up some events or, the Philippines and trying to have to generate a bunch of terrain. If you're one of the newer communities, Serbia, I know, have been putting on events recently. They've had to, start generating a lot of... Anyway, Khorne is very effective at giving up those small little units like Blood Reavers, producing lots of Blood Tithe, Murderlusting in, hitting with the big units. Great work. Excellent job to Fabian. He should be super chuffed. Again, great run. Really good army, though. Really, that's not take away from Fabian's play. Really good army. Really solid. And I think in a combat-heavy meta, as I talked about, this Khorne is always going to do well. Always going to do well. Right, then Jeremy Visser with his Kharadron Overlords. Now, this is quite interesting because this is a list that if you read it, it reads a lot like it's going to end with having an Ironclad, but it ends with having 2 frigates. So Barak Mornar, Kharadron Overlords army with an Admiral, Navigator, and a Chemist. But then he's got 2 units of 10 Thunderers, and those are inside, obviously, the frigates, and then there's also a unit of Endry Riggers, and he's got a gun hauler with the collapsible compartments, so for some more transport. So the thing here is normally you would see someone commit to just pure combat KO, but what I like about this list, and if anything, maybe feels like the pure cookie cutter list that KO should be playing, is he's given himself enough constant quality output from shooting in the Thunderers and the Frigates, but then he's got excellent combat as well from the Endrin Riggers, who also produce loads of sustain because they are going to be able to heal the Frigates up. And unit of 6 should be able to heal them up from like pretty much dead to alive, which is interesting. Tom Guan, with Ziploc bags of zombies, was also in the top 8. Playing Soul Black Gravelords, Vycross Dynasty, with Torgillus the Chamberlain, the Vampire Lord, and Gorslav the Gravekeeper, who's got the Ulfenkana Phylactery, which means he's got 2 5-up ward save bubbles and the ability. I literally can, this was so inside the meta, I can just, I don't even need to read. Anyway, 2 5-up ward saves, the ability to bring back units from the dead more effectively, thanks to Gorslav Gravekeeper. Then 40, 20, 40 Deadwalker zombies for a grand total, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, for 160 Deadwalker zombies, unit 10 direwolves. Don't forget, he's going to be able to get 10 more direwolves because he's playing Vycross. There's a corpse cart. Well, there's 2 corpse carts in there as well. Obviously, they're going to produce more mortals for the unit. We're done. You got a lot of wounds to kill. It's almost impossible to get rid of them. They got 5-up ward saves. Some of them, if they're close enough, are going to explode and do mortal wounds back. They're going to just pile in attacks. How is it possible to beat them? It seems the answer is a load of steam tanks. Okay? That's what the answer is. Steam tanks for days. Steam tanks for days. Uramang was running Stormcast Eternals with Scions of the Storm, Hammers of Sigmar. And then it's a pretty interesting list. I really like this, actually. Now, the important part to note probably about this list is, well, I probably should go through it, but that he has got, he's doubled up on his holy command. So he's got Call for Aid and Thunderbolt Volley. So he's going to be double shooting his long strikes twice, and then he's going to be Call for Aiding, most likely, in my opinion, his unit of Liberators, which gives him some actual tech in the army. So, for instance, when that unit dies, he's going to be able to teleport that somewhere else, and then drop that on an objective. There's some very fun, sneaky opportunity cost there. but to commit to his battalion, giving him the upgrade just for that opportunity cost, and then writing it into his list. It's just nice. It's nice list building. It's elegant, is how I'm going to describe it. Anyway, he's got 1, 2, 3 Knight Velexers. Then he's got a Knight Incanter and also a Knight Relictor. One of his Vexlers has got the Arcane Tome, and then he's taken the Comet. That Comet, obviously, is going to give him additional AoE Mortal Wounds, which the Knight Velexers are also going to do, often known as the Flag List. But it's only like a little bit of a nod to the Flag List, because then he's got the Relictor, obviously, being able to relocate units. And then he's got the Incanter, being able to shut down enemy spells, and also is the general of the command trait, and he's got Shaman in the Chill Lands, so he knows all of the spells from like the current GHB. So that gives him some nice options, especially if he wants to get Hoarfrost off, or if he wants to pop a Blizzard. Then he's got Libs in his front line, and then he's got a unit of 4 Dracothian Guard Tempestors, unit of 2 Fulminators, and then a unit of Hunters, unit of 3 Evocators on Celestial Dracolines. Now, I know, YouTube commentators, you're going to want to tell me, Rob, you've said that these are rubbish for a million years, but then why were they able to make it into the LVO top 8? I would like you to know that Witch Hunters won the event, so maybe we should all shut up and calm down, okay? Maybe all of us. All right. Then there's Vanguard Raptors with long strikes, as I've talked about, and the Comet, as again I've talked about. So, pretty interesting list. What I like about this is it's got some very nice dual utility in loads of different ways. Like he's got options. He's got long range shooting to bring you toward, make you have to kind of move towards. He's got the ability to reposition thanks to the Relictor. He's got the ability to do big AoE spike damage at the right time if an enemy unit is bottled up, thanks to Vexlers and Comets and other stuff. He's got the double shoot tap. There's loads of options. It's very good. He's got big counter charges with Fulminators, so there's a lot of stuff. It's very fine. It has to be used in exactly the right way. He doesn't have a lot of opportunity for screening, that sort of stuff, but very, very cool. Very, very interesting. Okay, Bill Hennessy with Ogre Mortrized Boulderhead. He had a Huskard on Thunder Tusk. He had a Huskard on Stonehorn. Then he had 1, 2, 3, 4 Thunder Tusk. 3 Stonehorn Beast Riders and a Thunder Tusk Beast Rider as well. There isn't really much to say about monster trucks. I've got 10. I count as 10 on an objective, right? I've got 5 of them. 6 of them, sorry. Now I'm 60 on an objective. You can't outscore me. And now I'll charge you. Move on to another one. Now I'll charge you. It's just kind of gargants, but like, that's it. It's just a lot of output. And it's cool. It's monster trucks. It's just running around. Okay? They're just doing blood vultures and they're killing all your characters, which is super annoying. There's nothing you can do to stop that, which just sucks. So you're getting blood vultured all over the board. I think there's 6 in this list. And then he's just hitting you with stuff. So grab objectives. Yeah, and you're killing 1 support hero a turn with the blood vultures, as being said in the chat. So wanted to point that out. So you're just doing move on objectives, grab points. It's brilliant. Our last list, Jacob. Let's get weird. And you don't know how to play Warhammer like I do, Brandon, with his Uruk Warclans. Jacob's great. I got nothing but time for Jacob. Running Cruelboys, getting into the top 8. So he's got Gobsprak, Swampcaller Shaman with Potgrot again. Snatcher Boss on Sludge Beast, a Swampcaller Shaman with Potgrot. Then he's got 2 units of 10 Gut Rippers, unit of 10 Hobgrot Slitters, and then 3x6 Manskewer Bolt Boys, and then Dakgok Stab Lads. Now, I gotta say, number 1, the fact that you can just pick this up from any Dominion box is just an 11 out of 10 moment. Number 2, Jacob previously, before Skaven got their big buff, was also running Skaven very successfully. He's like kind of the master of using units that no one really plays. And armies that no one really plays, so he should be super chuffed. Obviously, we've seen Gobsprak feature very heavily in big war armies, and then everything about this is stuff you should know about Cruelboys already, but effectively, he's going to be doing better, or more commonly doing mortal wounds with his Gut Rippers and his Bolt Boys. Thanks to the Swampcaller Shamans, he's going to be doing more mortal wounds because the Snatcher Boss on Sludge Beast with his AoE aura on that. Then he's obviously could do a bunch of spells as well. He's got Sneaky Miasma, which is great. Blizzard as well for even more wounds, and Choking Mist. And then he's got a front line of Gut Rippers and Hobgrot Slitters. So he's got the opportunity to... he should have... he's got Weirden on his Snatcher Boss, so he's not fast. He's got the Weirden. That's kind of interesting. The Snatcher Boss on Sludge Beast also does some amazing combat. So what you're effectively seeing is just raw output. Absolutely raw, unending output. Just from start to finish, and the sheer volume of damage that this army can bring is harrowing, but is wildly fragile. So well done to Jacob. Well done to everyone at the Las Vegas Open. Hope you had a great time. Obviously, it must be so cool to be part of this huge experience, all of these people playing. So well done to all of you. And, what a moment for Age of Sigmar to have the world's largest Age of Sigmar event, 3 weeks into 2024, which is great. The next event we are going to look at takes us over to Germany for the, Jesus Christ, the TES Schoonerglagen AOS 2 Takesturner Nakeltulmen. Absolutely 11 out of 10. That's what we did. So the event had 32 players playing at the event, 38 players playing at the event. Thank you, chat, for saying I nailed it. Absolutely crushed that. If anyone needs me to say it again, let me know. And then in our first place of the 38 players was Mark Elschner with his Blades of Corn, Reapers of Vengeance. And he was running a Slaughter Priest, a Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage with the Halo of Blood. A little bit different, Scarbrand. But then the Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage was there. Oh, wait, Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage. So no Whippy Thirster, 2 Boom Thirsters, and Scarbrand, Valkyria on the big damage output, Blood Reavers, Claws of Karnak, and the Flesh Hounds. 2 Skull Cannons to take us home. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some Warhammies. Okay, this is amazing. And a Wrath Axe. Okay, fun. This is really, really fun. Super unique here. Just loads more output. Obviously, the Boom Thirsters. Boom Thirsters are just scary. And if you are able to roll 6s for 5 games in a row, you're just going to go home with the gold, which is, I think, what we saw here as well. Shout out to our 2-4-1s, Andreas Holter with his Seraphon Fangs of Sotek, Timo Weeble with his Nighthorn Emerald Host. It's a pretty fun list. It's got 2 black coaches in it, of all things, and some Craven the shooters, the crossbows. And then Benedict Mitcher with his OCR Bone Reapers, Mortis Praetorians. Our next event takes us over to Scotland, where we had 28 players playing in the Scottish Lasters. So the Scottish Lasters, I'm pretty certain, is they have the Scottish Masters, which is the most successful or the best performing players of that season go to play to be the champions. And then the Scottish Lasters is the underperforming players of that season, and then they have their own little event, which is adorable. So shout out to the Scottish Lasters. So in first place we had Seb Donnelly with Cities of Sigmar. Oh no, who'd have thought? Okay, so he's running Hallowheart, more consistent spells. Warforger, both with Blizzard, obviously +1 save, mortals on 6s. Fusil Major on Ogre Warhulk, who knows why. Then Pontifex Sinestra and a Steam Tank Commander. Then Steel Helms, a Steam Tank, and 30 Fusiliers, and double Command Core. That's right, so he's going to be doing 60 shots downwind with 6s to hit, doing mortal wounds. 3 Guild Command Core for healing up to 6d3 wound models back into the Fusiliers if they get tagged. Steam Tank and Steam Tank Commander for screening, shooting, and fighting. Sinestra for the ward. 5-0, baby. Shout out to Rob West with his OCR Bone Reapers going 4-1. Mike Callahan with his War Clans going 4-1. And Tom Udler going 4-1 with his army as well. And our final event from this weekend is the North China Open 2. It's only had 10 players playing in China, but the Chinese community is growing, which is nice. Unfortunately, they did not submit their lists to the event, so we weren't able to cover it. Also, this weekend, we also had the Brotherhood Team Tournament, which I think saw 140 players playing at that event in a team format as per. And now that's our third weekend of team tournaments. We've had a team tournament in France. We've had this team tournament in England. We had a team tournament in Italy recently, all of which have been over 100-ish players. So team tournaments also absolutely massive, as well as these humongous big singular events like we have with the LVO. And like we've got CanCon coming up, absolutely huge event as well. Excellent, loads of love to CanCon. And I hope everyone is excited about the future post Battle Scroll. I'm really looking forward to the lists being shaken up. Obviously, as I said in last week's stats video, we're seeing the meta be changed up by lists that people have worked on kind of over the Christmas period, and we're starting to see those new lists appear on the table. So there's been some kind of unique and interesting takes on what we're going to see. But I would like to say that we're now into the back half or the last half of the year-long GHB versus the 6-month cycle. And so the game feels a little bit more solved at this point pre-Battle Scroll than it did before. And obviously we have a bunch of new armies to come out in the future, which is very exciting. So I think there's a level of stasis where the armies, the battle plans, the battle tactics are all getting kind of moved around, but they're all pretty much static at the moment with some new entries. We've got Flesh Eater Courts to start hitting the scenes when the production meta pops off, which is going to be very fun as well. We've got some of the new armies of renown that are going to feature as well, and some of them might gain more popularity as people understand just how useful they are in the future. Also, quite excitingly, if we have some major shake-up to the GHB, for instance, like battle tactics only costing a single point from your book versus the GHB battle tactics costing 2 points, then you're going to start to see a very different, a very wild meta. But we don't know what that battle scroll will look like, and as you heard at the beginning of the video, I have, I think, a significant list of complaints about the fact that it's not out yet. However, there is still, even pre-battle scroll and definitely post-battle scroll, an incredible 2024 on the line for Age of Sigmar. Loads of armies still being produced right now and put on the tabletop. The first instances of Cities of Sigmar really dominating the field as well, and people starting to work out how they can counter-pick into that, which is really fun. We know, upcoming releases of Flesh Eater Courts. We know that we're going to be getting new Chaos stuff when we get that book as well, and then moving on to eventually Age of Sigmar 4, in 5 months' time. So we're in the kind of like, while we are in the twilight, we have a very fast, punchy, exciting next 4 or 5 months for Age of Sigmar, which I'm very much looking forward to. So I hope you liked the video. Thank you to everyone on the Honest Wargamer Patreon. Couldn't do anything without you. You're the best. My love to you. See you soon. Bye.